And we are live. Hey, how is it going? Lee Hayward here with the Total Fitness Bodybuilding video chat for Friday, May the 24th. And today, as always, during these video chats, I'm going to be hanging out here for the next hour answering questions and topics of discussion that you have related to fitness and nutrition. So any specific things that you want to discuss related to your workouts, related to burning fat, building muscle, nutrition, diet, anything along those lines, feel free to type those questions and topics of discussion into our video chat today, and I'll do the best that I can to help you out over the course of our chat. So I just want to make sure that this is coming through loud and clear. We are a few minutes later. We, as in me, me, Lee, is a few minutes late today. And I do apologize for the regulars because normally I'm pretty prompt with going live at 5, but today I'm going live at like 5:15 or maybe even 20 after 5 now. So yeah, it was running late. And the reason I'm running late today is because we were actually out at the hardware store, the gardening store, if you will, because we're in the process of setting up a vegetable garden in our backyard, and we were buying the topsoil and the peat moss and all the stuff that we need for setting up our vegetable garden. And my wife said, I want to get all that stuff so I can get at the garden this weekend. And I said, okay, gotcha. So we were out doing that, and through the jigs and the reels, it's like, look at the time, honey, we gotta go, and a little bit late. Anyway, we got all the stuff we need to start the garden, so we're good that way, but I'm 20 minutes late starting my video chat. But I'll make it up for you. We'll still get an hour of video chat here nonetheless. So as people are tuning in, let me know if this is coming through loud and clear, first of all. I mean, I believe it is. Lee always says it's coming through loud and clear. Thank you, my friend. Appreciate that. Lee's a regular to our chats. I think pretty much every Friday I do a live Q&A. Lee joins in from over in the UK, so I appreciate the support. It means a lot. We have Jason is joining in. Welcome, Jason. We have Ron joining in. We have Nick joining in, aka the Dead Fish Lord. I was actually having a chat with Nick the other day. Nick's a member of our Muscle After 40 coaching program. Welcome. Glad to have you joining into our chat. Robert's joining in. Lee, Jason. Yep, good stuff. Axel's joining in. All right, got some questions coming through there. Good stuff. All right. Mike says, good morning. So, Mike, you must be over in Australia or that realm of the world, the other corner of the globe if it is morning, because it is evening for, I would assume, most people watching right now. But let me know where it is that you're tuning in from. That was interesting to note, because we do get an international group joining our video chats. All right, let's get into some Q&A. So again, anything that you would like to discuss related fitness, nutrition, building muscle, losing fat, those type of things, feel free to type it in. Even if you have any specific questions related to particular activities and sports that you're doing. And I know Nick is actually in the process getting ready to do a big cycling event this summer. The Ride Across Iowa, which is a big event that 10,000 cyclists approximately are going to be doing that. And he was having some questions, and we actually did a coaching call discussing that. So even if it's something related to cycling, I mean, I don't consider myself to be a cycling coach, but I've been doing it for a few years myself, taking it quite serious, and picked up a few tips and strategies along the way that I wouldn't mind sharing if that is something you're interested in. All right, we have TS joining in. Let's see. Actually, just appreciate the support. Thank you so much. Says back again, Lee. 10-week streak. Time to hit Romanian deadlift, shrugs, bicep curls, leg presses, incline presses, and lateral raises. So a good total body workout. Appreciate the support, and congrats on your 10-week streak. That's a nice way to look at this. Like you're just week by week, workout by workout. Just take it in and let it accumulate. But one thing that I do want to acknowledge here is when you get those streaks going, it's nice, and you don't want to ruin your winning streak that you have going. But it's inevitable that sooner or later something's going to come up that's going to derail that streak. You may end up whatever. You might get ill, you might have to work or travel or family issues, relationship issues. The excrement always hits the fan sooner or later. And when you do get off track, like, just forgive, correct, continue, and start again. One of the downsides to having these winning streaks is a lot of people, they're building up that positive momentum and they're feeling really good about themselves. But then if they blemish their streak, if you will, they're on like, oh, screw it. I knew I couldn't do this. And they sometimes fall off track, and then they let that derail. A habit that I like, and I actually learned this from James Clear, the author of Atomic Habits, is he says you never want to miss twice, right? It's okay to miss once, but you never want to miss twice, because when you screw up twice in a row and then let it spiral into 3 times, 4 times, etc., you're starting to build a habit of falling off track. So the way he likes to look at it is, imagine in this situation, like you're crossing off, okay, I had a productive week of training, 10 weeks in a row. So you got 10 weeks crossed off on the calendar there. If you screw up a week, don't screw up for 2 weeks in a row. Get back on track for the very next week and keep that momentum going, and try to have more good weeks than bad weeks. And if you can finish the year with more successful weeks than you had unsuccessful or unproductive weeks, you're going to be moving in the right direction. So you always want to be thinking of the greater percentage here. And it doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be good enough, and good enough consistently over the long term. But again, thanks again for your support, and great job on your consistency. All right, let's jump into some Q&A here, guys, because I know some questions are coming through. We have Axel's asking about combining bodybuilding and martial arts without overtraining. Anytime you do a sport, I mean, in this case, it's martial arts, but we could insert another sport, because any challenging sport is going to be taxing on the body. And you have to realize it's not like you have 100% recovery for bodybuilding / weight training and then 100% recovery for martial arts or your sport of choice. You have 100% recovery total. And I want you to visualize that. Like, let's just say I have 100 units of recovery. How am I going to allocate that recovery? Because you can't go 100% with bodybuilding and 100% with martial arts and expect to reap the results. You have to find a compromise somewhere in the middle. And what is your biggest priority right now? And there's no right or wrong answer to this. It depends on where you're at and what it is you want to focus on. Like, if your main focus is on bodybuilding and you're doing the martial arts as a little side thing, just to add some variety to your workouts, or I mean, I don't know, maybe you're going to martial arts with your 10-year-old son, for example, and you just want to be there as a support team for him, and you're not really taking it that serious for yourself. Like, that's how my dad got me involved with martial arts at a young age. Like, he went, we both did martial arts together, but he wasn't pushing it. I mean, he just kind of showed up and participated, went through the motions just as a support, and did it for me as well. But then as I became more advanced with it, then I kept going, and Dad dropped out, right? So in that situation, it wouldn't take much of his recovery abilities, if you will, to participate. But if you're serious into it and you actually want to, make something of it, or compete and participate and actually take it seriously, then obviously you're going to have to allocate a lot of your recovery and a lot of your energy to the martial arts. And there's going to have to be a compromise there when it comes to the bodybuilding, right? So this is something that you're going to have to really look into. Like, maybe if you're peaking for a tournament, you want to put the weight training on maintenance, maybe just a couple weight training workouts a week to kind of sustain your strength and your power. And then the rest of the time you prioritize the martial arts training. Or it could be the opposite. You want to prioritize the weight training and you're only going to do 1 or 2 martial arts sessions a week, right? But bottom line, like, you can't go in there 6 days a week hammering out the weight training and then multiple days a week hammering out the martial arts training and expect to recover. You have to find a compromise somewhere in the middle. And it's really going to depend on your individual work capacity. Like, I can't really give set numbers of how many days or how many hours you can allocate, because, one, I don't know your schedule and I don't know your fitness level or your work capacity, but I just want to give you this philosophy, this mindset, if you will, of you have to find the compromise. And if there is one that's more important than the other, it's okay to prioritize that while putting the other one on maintenance. Like, that's totally fine. There's nothing wrong with that. Like, for me, an example, now I do a lot of cycling, especially summer's coming up now. I'm going to be doing a lot more cycling. So I'll be putting my weight training workouts kind of like on maintenance, and I'll be prioritizing cycling. I'll be getting a lot more miles, a lot more hours on the bike, and fewer hours in the gym. And I'm totally fine with that because that's what I want to do. That's what I want to prioritize. But then in the fall and the winter months, I kind of do the opposite. I prioritize the gym and I put the cycling, in scale that back, because obviously the weather isn't as enjoyable for getting outside, or isn't as practical for getting outside as it is in the summer. So that's how I go about it. I find that balance, but I'll prioritize what's most important right now at this stage of the game. So as we're getting into summer, I'll be spending less time in the gym, maybe 2 workouts a week, and then the rest of the time I'll be prioritizing spending time on the bike. So you have to find what works best for you in that situation. We have Doodly-Doo92. Love the username, Doodly-Doo92. Got a good ring to it. Hello, Master Lee, the best fitness instructor ever. Salute. Appreciate it. Thanks for tuning in. We got Mike again. Morning, Mike. We got Matthew joining in. How's it going? Glad to have you joining the show. We have Lee joining in. Welcome. Jason is joining in. Welcome, Jason. We have Ron. Says just started test and enclophomine. I'm sure I'm mispronouncing that, but through a TRT clinic. Wondering what you think about enclophomine. I can't even pronounce it, let alone think about it. Is it necessary, or should I just take the test? I really don't know. I don't have any experience with that personally. So you're going through a TRT clinic. I'm assuming you're going through a doctor who knows what they're doing. I would recommend following the doctor's advice on that. Like, I am not a pharmacist or a doctor, and I have no, I can't even pronounce it, but I know what it is. It's supposed to help increase your natural testosterone production. I mean, again, I don't know the chemical reactions or how it works, but I have heard of it before. That's the extent of my knowledge on it. So I'm certainly no expert in these medications. So, but I have heard about it. But bottom line, if it's recommended by your doctor through the TRT clinic, then go for it. Try it. I mean, the whole process of hormone replacement therapy, there's a lot of trial and error, and you want to keep an open flow of communication between you and your doctor and get regular blood work, especially in the early phases. And you need to dial it in, because you don't want your testosterone levels too high, and obviously you don't want them too low, because there's side effects if they're too high. There's side effects if they're too low. You want it just right. It's like the Goldilocks rule, right? We don't want it too hot. We don't want it too cold. We want it just right. And there's other issues that you have to look into as well, like red blood cell count. Sometimes when people have their hormone levels get too high, then sometimes their red blood cell levels get too high, and then they end up having to donate blood to keep their blood cell count in check, because you don't want to have too thick of a blood, basically too much red blood cells there, because there's risks of blood clotting and issues along those lines. Like, there's a lot to it. It's not just, hey, I'm going on test, right? Stick a needle in my ass and good luck, right? There's a lot of back and forth work here, and that's why it's important to do this through a clinic, through a proper doctor supervision, and not just trying to wing it on your own, right? Because technically, winging it on your own isn't HRT. That's just using steroids. But a lot of people, they like to. It's more, what's the word? It's more socially acceptable to say I'm on HRT or I'm on TRT versus I'm abusing steroids. So they'll swing that word, but if you're not doing it under doctor supervision, then you are just winging it. So as long as you're doing it under doctor supervision, follow your doctor and keep them in the loop. Like, let them know how you're feeling. Keep tabs on that regular blood work, and make sure that you're in the ideal ranges for your blood work as well as your hormone levels. Corbin's joining in. Welcome, Corbin. We have Julio Mecco. I'm probably butchering your first name, but welcome. Julio. Because the J is pronounced with an H, isn't it? It's not a J. It's a Julio, I think. I'm probably right on that. I don't know. Julio? Maybe. Anyway. Welcome to the chat. Welcome to the chat, XM. There we go. We have Eagle Eye John joining in. Welcome. JE is joining in. Do you still do pyramid training? Do you track every set or just your last workout set? Pyramid training, I don't do a true pyramid training in terms of work my way up and work my way back down. Like that was the classic pyramid is you start off with lightweight, higher reps, you would add weight, reduce the reps, add weight, reduce the reps, build up to a peak, and then you basically reverse the order. That is the true pyramid set fashion. You build it up and then you drop it back down. I just do progressively heavier warm-up sets. So I do start off with a lightweight and build it up. I mean, I'd recommend that for everybody. Like, never just start with your top heavy working weight. Always do a light warm up. And depending on the exercise and depending on how heavy you're going to go, you may need progressively heavier warm ups. Like, that's something that applies to everybody. The stronger you get, the more weight you're lifting, the more warm ups you're going to need. And the bigger the exercise, the more warm ups you're going to need. Like, let's just say you have an advanced bodybuilder who's deadlifting 500 pounds. He just doesn't go in the gym and put 5 plates aside on the barbell and start repping it out. No, he builds it up in multiple progressively heavier warm-up sets, probably like starting off with 135, 225, 315, 405, etc. Multiple progressively heavier warm-up sets. You just don't jump to your top weight working set. So I guess technically that is a pyramid. So you should use a pyramid style for all your exercises and all your workouts, just from a safety reason, if nothing else. But yeah, I still do that. As far as tracking, I mean, you can still track it if you want, but you're not going to push the limits and you're not going to have progressive overload on your warm-up sets. Like, they're going to stay the same. The warm-up sets are always going to be light warm-up sets because you need them to warm up. The ones that you're going to have the progressive overload and you're going to try to get some sort of progression, be it adding weight, adding repetitions, that's going to be your top working sets. So those are the ones that count, if you will, in terms of progression. The sets leading up to that, the warm-ups, they're going to stay the same. Right, so hopefully that answers your question. If it doesn't, feel free to elaborate more in the comment section there. We have Joe joining in. Welcome, Joe. We have Red Planet says, I mean this as a compliment, but that is such a Canadian thing to do, apologizing for being 15 minutes late to a video that costs us nothing to watch and benefits us more than it does Lee. Hey, there we go, right? Typical Canadian thing, yeah. I'm sorry that I'm late giving you your free video chat for the week. I can appreciate that, yep. 12:22 a.m. in Greece. Wow, it's a late one there, or early, late, whatever you want to call it. So it's late for me. I'm normally in bed before then. Mike's in Australia. I figured you were. 6:52 a.m. Good morning. It's a good time to get up. Great way to start the day. Start the day with a video chat. I'm ending the day with a video chat. Corbin's asking, how much fat is necessary? How long is a piece of string? It depends, right? All these questions like this, I mean, I can kind of, we can discuss fat as the importance of fat, but how much, it depends on a lot of variables. It's like saying, how much gas does a car burn, right? How long is a piece of string, right? Like, it depends, right? There's no set answer to these because it depends on the individual who we're referring to. Their calorie expenditure, their activity level, there's so many things. The type of nutrition plan they're following. Like, are they following a high-fat, low-carb diet? Then obviously, if that's the case, they're going to be eating way more fat than someone who's eating a well-balanced diet. But personally, as a general rule of thumb, a good place to start for most of my coaching students when I'm designing nutrition plans, I recommend having about 30% of your calories coming from fat. That's a good place to start. So that you can start with that and then adjust it up or down based on your individual needs. But that's a good general place to start for most people if you're eating a well-balanced diet. Now, if you're on a ketogenic diet, obviously that's going to be totally different. But for well-balanced diet, I usually recommend 30% of your calories from protein, 30% of your calories from fat, and about 40% from carbohydrates. That's a good range for most people. Like most of the guys who come on board with the Muscle After 40 Blueprint program, that's kind of the ballpark that I'll set them up with. And then we adjust it based on how their body responds week by week. You know, maybe we need to dial it up. Maybe we need to dial it back. If someone's really active and doing a lot of high intensity training or a lot of volume, like they're involved with sports and athletics, we may need to bump up the carbohydrate intake. That will vary it depending on the individual, but that's a good place to start. About 30% of your calories. Now, that doesn't mean 30% in terms of grams. That means 30% in terms of calories, because fat has 9 calories per gram, carbohydrates and protein have 4 calories per gram. So if you're looking at some real world numbers, let's just say you're having 200 grams of protein, 250 grams of carbohydrates, and probably about 90 or 85 grams of fat, somewhere in that ballpark. I mean, I'll have to do the math on paper to know if it's accurate, but that's approximately a well-balanced diet in terms of calories of 30% protein, 30% fat, and 40% carbohydrates. Right. That's where I would start and then tweak as needed based on how your body responds. That's where having a coach helps, right? Because like I'll be honest, the way this whole works, like with workouts, nutrition, and all these things, like you could go out and you could hire the best trainers, you could hire the best coaches, the best nutritionists and dietitians and whatever. All they're going to do is give you an educated guess on what they think is going to work based on their experience. That's it. That's the starting point. That's like the rough draft. That's phase one, is this an educated guess. It's through the ongoing coaching, following up and feedback and regular check-ins and seeing, okay, this is what we've been doing. How is your body responding? Like, how are you feeling? How is your body responding? How are your workouts? How is your body composition? And we see, okay, this is what we did. This is the results we got. Are we happy with those results? If we are, great. Let's keep doing more of that. If we're not happy, then we go back to the drawing board and we start making some adjustments. And you can't adjust too many things at once, because if you adjust everything, then you don't know what the hell made the difference. Like, let's just say you weren't happy with your progress. You try to set workout, set eating plan, etc. And then you just went in and totally overhauled the entire workout, overhauled the entire eating plan, started adding supplements. And you say, okay, now I'm making progress. But then, well, what caused the progress? Was it the change in the workouts? Was it the change in the eating plan? Was it the change in the supplements you took? Like, if you change everything, then you don't know what the hell worked. All right. So this is where having a coach can guide you through it and take things step by step in a progressive and methodical fashion, instead of just winging it, which, let's face it, most people are just winging it. They hope what they're doing is working, right? I'm showing up to the gym. I think I'm eating healthy, right? Feels like I'm eating healthy. I hope it works. If it doesn't, oh well. Like that's literally the extent of most people's training and nutrition strategy. Is they're just putting in the effort and hoping it works, right? There's no really structure or plan to it. This is where having some expertise and guidance, and someone following along with your progress can really help. What else we got there? So again, Corbin says his fat is 22 to 44 grams. Like, that's a huge range right there. Like, that's literally you're doubling it. Now, granted, that's on the low end. I mean, I with that being said, I don't know what your total calories and intake is, but that is definitely on the low end. I mean, I know a lot of people, heck, they're eating 20 grams in a single meal in some cases. So that's certainly on the low end. Matthew says, I'm currently on a balanced diet with 3 to 4 to 5 full body workouts a week. Still currently losing a pound a week, and I'm supplementing with swimming for cardio, and it's working. All right. I don't know if there's a follow-up to that or not, but first off, if it's working, losing a pound a week, I mean, that from a fat loss point of view, a pound a week is solid progress. I know a lot of people think a pound a week is, oh, that's slow. It's going to take forever. Oh, I want to lose 30 pounds. Do you mean that's going to take me 30 weeks to lose 30 pounds? That's too long. I don't have 30 weeks. I want to lose 30 pounds in 30 days. a pound a week is realistic and sustainable. I know it, to people who are brainwashed by the fitness media and thinking that, hey, everything should be fast and instant gratification and get ripped quick, they want more. But from a realistic standpoint, that's actually solid progress. And if you can sustain losing a pound a week, you'll be able to hit your goals and more likely sustain them a lot better than if you try and lose it quicker. The problem with rapid weight loss is very often you lose not only body fat, you're losing lean muscle, and you're probably going to extremes to do so, like i.e. starving yourself with some form of crazy calorie restriction. And that's only a short-term thing before eventually you just throw in the towel and say, I can't do this anymore, and screw it. You go back to your old eating habits. Whereas if you take it in a slow, sustainable fashion, which it sounds like what you're doing, I mean, that is something that is realistic and sustainable. So kudos to you. Seems like you're on the right track. And just to let you know, Matthew is a regular over on the Total Fitness Bodybuilding Facebook group. So if you're not a member over there, by all means, search on Facebook. Just type in Lee Hayward's Total Fitness Bodybuilding and request to join the group. Neil's saying, hello, Lee. Have you experienced molar tooth extraction? Nope. How do you handle the following days and weeks for fitness and making gains related? Just want to hear your thoughts. Or wait, no, molar tooth. Is that your wisdom teeth? I'm not sure because if that's the case, I did have my wisdom teeth, but I was like 19 years old when I got to do a search. Molar tooth extraction. I'm assuming it is. Molar tooth, wisdom tooth. I don't know. Molar wisdom. We always call it wisdom tooth. I don't know. I don't know if that makes you wise or not. Okay, yeah, okay, that's the one. It's the teeth right in the back of your jaws there. Yeah, the last row. Okay, so ironically, okay, I take that back. I did have my molar teeth extracted. Again, I called them wisdom teeth. That's why I was a bit confused there. That was back in 1997. So it's been a while since I had that done. I remember because I was in college at the time, and I gotta just hide your question there. I remember my jaw at the time because they took all four of them out, the two top and the two bottom ones, and my jaw swole up so big it looked like I had an egg head when I had the wisdom teeth taken out, and I had cotton swabs in my mouth, like soaking up the blood and stuff like that. I mean, it was not a pleasant experience. Like for a week afterwards, it was certainly not a pleasant experience. So yeah, your workouts for the following days and maybe a week or however long it is, they're on the back burner. There is none. Your diet is whatever you can get down, soft mush. Like you're not chewing anything because obviously your mouth is bleeding and everything else. It sucks. Like I wish there was a way, like I say, oh, here's the special secret strategy to make it all better. But no, it's just going to suck for at least a week, and then it's gradually going to get better. That's it. That's my thoughts about it. You said you wanted to hear my thoughts about it. I'm telling you straight up, it's going to suck. Just suck it up, buttercup. And, within a week or so, you should be getting back to normal and then starting to able to eat foods normally and all that stuff. But for me, like my jaw swole out. So I didn't go to school. I didn't do anything. Like while I had the egg head and just popping painkillers and stuff like that, I wasn't fit for anything while I had my wisdom teeth extracted. You're probably going to go, I mean, I don't know. It might be easier, might be worse, but that's what it was like for me. John's got a question. Wondering, how long do you spend in the gym in a session? Me, it's usually about 90 minutes. That includes my warm-up. That includes my weight training. That includes my post-workout stretching. That's a typical workout. Sometimes if I'm pressed for time, I'll abbreviate it. But generally speaking, 90 minutes is a typical session for me. How long does creatine last? What do you mean? Like in the container? I mean, it could be good for years as long as it's stored in a cool, dry place. Most of the containers are going to have an expiration date on them somewhere. But from a practical point of view, as long as the powder is not clumped or looking like it's looking like it's going bad, as long as it's this white powder and it's not like clumped or deformed or anything like that, it should be fine. I've never had creatine expire or go bad. So now with that being said, when I buy creatine, I tend to use it. And if you're using it regularly, you're going to use it within the expiry date. It's same with like protein powder. Like I know some people say, oh, like how long does protein powder last or whatever. I've never had a container of protein that expired just because I'm using the darn stuff on a regular basis. But I know not every, like some people buy it and then they get on the fitness kick for a little while and okay, I'm taking my protein, I'm taking my creatine, and then they do that for 2 weeks and then they say screw it, so I'm not working out. Well, I'm not going to take my creatine and I'm not going to take my protein, and that continues on for months or years or however long, and then next thing you know, it's expired, and they're wondering how long does it last. One thing I will say is this is kind of a side topic related to creatine. It's not just a performance or fitness related supplement. It should be used as an overall health supplement. I believe everybody should be using creatine. Like there's so many health benefits to this, not just from a muscle and strength point of view, but a mental and cognitive point of view. I mean, they've been testing it to see if it can help improve bone density in like postmenopausal women and all kinds of situations. Seniors take it to help improve cognitive function, improve, help to reduce sarcopenia. Like there's so many things. Like creatine is not just a young buck athlete supplement. It should be an overall health supplement, a longevity supplement. There's so many mental and physical benefits to it. And for people who are wondering like the safety issues of creatine, I actually heard about a study that was done on postmenopausal women who were testing to see if creatine could help to reverse or improve bone density. It did have a slight benefit, but it wasn't huge. But there was some benefits in the bone density. But the thing that blew me away was, again, I'll have to look up the study to get the details on it again. But they were using 20 grams of creatine over the long term. So like basically like loading doses of creatine in postmenopausal women for weeks and months on end, like long term. There was a long term study. I mean, it wasn't just a short like 1 or 2 week thing. It was an extended study, and there was no negative issues with regards to like kidney issues or anything like that. Like they absorbed and handled the creatine at 20 grams a day, which is that's freaking high. That's like personally, I use 5 grams a day. That's my dosage that I use for creatine. So they were taking literally 4x and did so for a prolonged period of time. No negative side effects. It was all positive benefits that these women had experienced from using creatine. And they weren't bodybuilders. Again, they're old women. Old women getting benefits from creatine. So for those of you like thinking, oh, I don't take creatine because I'm not an athlete or I'm not trying to bulk up or no, it's an overall health supplement. Like your grandmother could benefit from taking creatine, right? Old geezers can benefit from it. Helps with improving mental and cognitive function. Like it's been shown to help with patients with Alzheimer's and Parkinson's and a lot of diseases and issues like that. So anyway, moving on. What else we got there? Josh is asking, what is a practical way to lose weight without counting calories? Myself and Jeff just did a podcast. We just recorded it because for those of you who don't know, we have a new Total Fitness Bodybuilding podcast that comes out Tuesdays at 11 a.m. Eastern Time. It's available on YouTube. It's available on Apple Podcasts as well as Spotify. Myself and my co-host, Jeff Samatero, we're on episode 3 now, or there's 2 episodes published. We just recorded episode 3, which will be coming out now on Tuesday. And in that episode, we actually did a deep dive, a full hour-long podcast covering strategies to basically help you lose weight without counting calories. And it's all about improving all the habits and lifestyle choices and things like that. So the analogy that I used is, imagine we're in a boat out at sea and there's a hole in the boat and it's taking on water. And you might be saying, well, how's the fastest way to get the water out of this boat, right? Do I use a bucket and I dump the water out? Do I get a pump or a siphon? Or how can I quickly get the water out of this boat? And that's kind of the way most people look at their fat loss. It's just like, okay, I'm overweight, I'm out of shape. How do I quickly get rid of all this body fat? if you don't fix the underlying habits that caused you to get fat in the first place, as soon as you stop that nose to the grindstone approach, i.e., if we're out in the boat, we're just dumping water out of the boat. If we don't plug the hole that's in the boat where it's taking on the water in the first place, once you stop the nose to the grindstone, the actively dumping the water out, it's just going to fill back up again. The same applies with fat loss. And this is why so many people rebound and they lose a bunch of weight and then they regain it all back again. It's because they didn't fix the core habits and the core fundamental things that were causing them to get fat in the first place. So that's what myself and Jeff went into detail with that podcast, covering how do you stop getting fat first, and then we can focus on how we lose the fat. But the key is if you just stop getting fat in the first place, very often you fix the fundamental habits and you start to lose weight in a sustainable fashion and you keep the weight off. Because I'm guarantee if anybody is overweight, right, you reach down, like you got a roll of blubber hanging over your belt, a bit of squishy, mushy belly fat or some love handles and back fat, that just didn't appear out of thin air. There's some lifestyle choices that contributed to that. If you can correct those lifestyle choices that contributed to that, those habits, very often you'll stop yourself from gaining fat and you'll actually start to lose fat and do so in a sustainable fashion. It's not just about, oh, how many calories do I have to starve myself? Or, oh, I'm going to go on I'm going to cut my carbs. I'm going to go intermittent fasting. I'm going to whatever. These drastic dietary approaches, which for most people are temporary. Very few people can sustain a starvation type diet as a lifestyle. Like, oh, I'm only going to eat one meal a day, or I'm not going to ever eat a carbohydrate again, or whatever. Like those approaches can work in the short term, but they're rarely long-term solutions for most people. Right? I mean, of course, there's going to be a unicorn out there who says, oh, I've been eating one meal of meat a day for the last 27 years and I'm fine. Well, good for you, but most people aren't. Most people don't have the discipline to stick to a diet for 27 days, let alone long term. What else we got there? But anyway, that's going to be coming out Tuesday, Josh. So look forward to that podcast. It'll really give you the deep dive into that one. And in the meantime, if you haven't already done so, check out the past episodes because we cover a lot of strategies for fat loss in those previous two podcasts that are out now. The link to the podcast is down in the description below this video. So if you're watching this on YouTube or even on Facebook, wherever you're watching it from, the link is, you pop open the video description, you get the link to the podcast. 22, my max is 70 kilogram bench press, 1 rep, 100 kilogram squat, 1 rep, deadlift, 100 kilograms, 2 reps, and 6 to 7 pull-ups. Okay. Kudos to you. I don't know if there's a follow-up question to that or just wanted to share your lifts. Awesome. One thing I will just discuss on this, unless you're a competitive power lifter, and obviously your 1 rep max is important because that's what powerlifting is. From a practical point of view, I'm not a fan of 1 rep max lifts. Like, knowing what I know now, if I could go back in time when I was young in your age, like in my early 20s, I would not have been spending a lot of time testing my 1 rep max, because your 1 rep max, it's testing your strength. It's not building your strength. You build your strength with repetition, like multiple sets and multiple reps, going in there and slapping 70 kilos on the bench and straining your ass off to get that 1 rep max. Yeah, okay, you got a 70 kilo bench, but that's not building your strength. You're building your strength with multiple sets and multiple reps and time under tension. That's what's actually going to build the muscle and stimulate hypertrophy. So again, unless you're a competitive strength or power athlete where you have to do the 1 rep max, if you're training for bodybuilding, and when I say bodybuilding, I don't necessarily mean you're getting on stage in a pair of posing trunks, oiled up and whatever. I mean, building your body, total fitness bodybuilding. You're actually in there to build a bigger, stronger, more muscular body and to improve your health and fitness. I wouldn't be like, I haven't done a 1 rep max I can't even remember when I've done a 1 rep max. It's been that long. Like, I'm talking 15 plus years since I've done a 1 rep max in any lift. It's just like people, if somebody asks me what's 1 rep max squat, bench, or deadlift, I don't know. I mean, I can tell you what they were back when I was competing in powerlifting back in the early 2000s, but I haven't done one in 15 or 20 years, maybe. Like that's literally how long it's been, right? Because I competed in powerlifting back in 2004, and in that early 2000 range, that's when I was training and focusing on powerlifting. But I started to get some pretty nasty injuries. In fact, it was 2008 actually. Okay, that's probably the last that I was. The 2008 was when I actually probably did my last 1 rep max, because that's when I suffered my first major muscle tear, and I have not been able to train the same since. So usually when it comes to the heavy training, most young guys, they have to get injured before they learn their lesson. And I'm as guilty as anyone for that. Like when I was in my early 20s, I thought I was invincible. I mean, yeah, every now and then you get a little ache or pain or twinge, but there was no serious injuries. It was something like give it a few days or give it a week and it'd heal up, and I was back at it again, pushing. But once I had that first major muscle tear, and it was a tear in my back, I tore a muscle in my lat tricep area, that set me back. Like my workouts were screwed up for over a year. It took me over a year to even get back to doing decent workouts again after that. And since then, like I've never been able to pull a 1 rep max deadlift or even a heavy deadlift anymore. Same with squats and bench presses, because if I start pushing heavy weights, that injury acts up. Like that's the weak link in the chain, and I can feel the strain. So I mean, I had to learn that lesson the hard way. So I'm sharing it with you, hoping that you'll benefit from it. But quite honestly, I just know that most guys, when they hear this, it's in one ear, out the other, like a fart in the wind. And then once they get injured and something screws up, like, oh, geez, I blew out my rotator cuff, or oh, I tore my pec, or oh, I tore my bicep, or whatever. Then it's like, oh yeah, I remember, I shouldn't be training so damn heavy. I should be focused on better quality and time under tension. And yeah. Anyway, hopefully you don't get injured, but I'm just sharing some words of wisdom from an old fart. There we go. Bruce is joining in. Welcome, Bruce. Bruce is another regular over on our Muscle After 40 Blueprint program. Alex is jumping in saying, thanks for your answer. He says, I'm currently focusing on Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu competition and doing 4 BJJ sessions with minimal weightlifting. After the tournament, I'll flip that around. I'll be doing 4 gym sessions and minimal BJJ. Cool. I mean, that perfect. I mean, I basically just elaborated on what you're currently doing, but that's what you do. You got a competition coming up. Obviously, you got to focus on your martial arts, your Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, because that is a technique sport. I mean, obviously, yeah, you want your strength and everything else, but you just want to maintain the strength you have, build your technique, build your stamina, focus on that. Because simply having bigger biceps and a bigger bench press isn't going to help you to win a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu match, right? But having better technique, better stamina, better strategy, that's going to help you to win the match. So focus on your Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and then maintain your strength that you have. And then, of course, when it's over, yeah, if you want to switch it around, go for it. Marwin's joining in. What are your thoughts on Tongkat Ali, ashwagandha, to boost free testosterone and reduce steroid hormone binding globulin for people over 30? I've never used the Tongkat Ali, and I'm assuming I'm pronouncing that right. Ashwagandha, I do personally use that myself. And Fadagia, I've never used that either, so I can't comment on the first and the last, but the second one, I supplemented. I mean, it's one of those. I'm going to be totally honest and transparent. It's one of those things. I take it. I think it helps, and I find it helps me with my sleep. Like I take it in the morning. I also take it in the evening, but it's supposedly to be a not only a performance enhancing, or like a help to improve your sports recovery, but it helps to promote a restful night's sleep. And I take it, and I've been taking it for a while now, and I think that it does help me to get a better restful night's sleep. All right. Is it a must-have supplement? Hell no. I mean, I've trained for years without ever taking any of this stuff, but I look into alternative, supplements like this now to try and help to give me a slight edge advantage, if you will. And if that's the way I look at it, it's a slight edge, marginal advantage at best. But is it a must-have? Like, you're not going to make gains if you don't take it or anything like that? Hell no. Right? It's certainly not in that category. It's just something that it's a nice to have if you have it available. Like, I get it at Costco. It's not that expensive. It's just pretty cheap. So yeah, I take it and I find that it does give me a slight edge advantage. But is as far as boosting your testosterone, I mean, again, it might give you a slight edge advantage there. But if someone has truly low testosterone, like your testosterone levels are tanked down in the low range, and you're eating healthy and you're working out consistently, and you're doing what you think you should be doing, and it's probably not going to bounce back on its own, especially for guys, the older you get. 30 is not that old, right? But if you're in the 40s, 50s and beyond, then and you have low testosterone, probably hormone replacement therapy is the route you need to go. For people who are in that 30 range, lifestyle choices should be able to turn it around. Because again, if you're 30 and you have low testosterone, well, unless there's a genetic issue that's causing it, it's probably a lifestyle issue. Probably poor diet, probably poor exercise choices, probably poor sleep habits, probably alcohol consumption. All these things play a major role. Like, if you're consuming alcohol, that's tanking your testosterone. If you're eating junk food and processed food, that's tanking your testosterone. If you're not consistent in the gym, weight training on a regular basis, that's tanking your testosterone. Like, all these things. If you're not getting adequate sleep, that's tanking your testosterone. So fix all that stuff first before you start worrying about, okay, what herbs can I take? But if you got all that other stuff going, you are working out consistently, you are eating natural unprocessed foods, you are meeting your protein intake needs, you're getting your essential fatty acids in there, you're avoiding alcohol, you're avoiding the processed junk food and all that kind of stuff, like, and you're weight training, you got all those boxes checked, then you can start looking into these things for a little marginal edge gain, and it may provide a slight edge. But again, if you have chronic low testosterone, it's not going to take someone from a 200 testosterone to 1,000 testosterone or anything like that. Nowhere near it, right? It might take you from a 2 to a 3 or something like that. It might give you a slight edge boost, but it's not going to be massive. Right? But anyway, that's my 2 cents worth. Jason saying, Lee, liking the new podcast. When's the next one coming out and what's the subject? I actually just addressed that. It's every Tuesday, 11 a.m. Eastern time, North American Eastern time, that is. That's when it comes out. And the next subject is the fundamentals for fat loss. So fundamental fat loss strategies for losing weight and sustaining it. That is the topic. Utopian Seeker, good day, you hoser. All right, good day to you as well. We have Danny Yates. And what other fitness YouTubers do you enjoy watching and think give out quality advice? Great question. I like watching. I watch a lot of Peter Attia's videos, Dr. Peter Attia. I like some of his stuff because I like the topics of the health and the longevity. And I actually, he has an amazing book. I have it on my desk somewhere. A second. This one. Outlive. If you're looking for a book recommendation, I'd recommend that. Dr. Peter Attia. And that's how you spell his name. Peter Attia. This is a meaty book. This is like 500-page, meaty book. But this is a great read, especially for anybody, but especially for people 40 plus, which is kind of like my demographic, the whole muscle after 40, that type of thing. He's speaking your language. He's basically showing you how to maximize the quality of life in your second half of life. Right. So I watch a lot of his stuff. Who else do I watch? I watch a lot of cycling videos too because that's something I'm interested in. So I know most of the people watching this are not cyclists, so this would kind of be foreign or not interesting to them. But I do watch a lot of people who focus on endurance and cycling training because that's something that I'm interested in now at this stage of the game. I'm not really following the bodybuilding scene that much. Like, I don't follow the current pro bodybuilders, and not that I don't respect it or anything, but where I'm not involved with bodybuilding myself as a sport of competitive bodybuilding. I just I don't want to be rude or nothing, but it's kind of boring to me at this stage of the game. I like I like bodybuilding as in building your body to be the best version of yourself and improving your health and fitness. That's what excites me the most, not just, you know, dieting down and putting on your banana hammock and slathering tan and oil and grunting on stage to see who looks the best in their underwear. Like, no, I mean, I did it for 15 years. Don't get me wrong. I did that stuff, but it's just like, man, I've been there, done that. I had no desire to go back at that anymore. So for me, I'm more about the health and longevity and the fitness side of things. So that's what I really focus on. But I'm just trying to think of like fitness related YouTubers that I follow a lot of. Like I see a lot of them, but some of them I'm just, I'm brain farting here now. I'm really brain farting. I tell you ones that I don't like and that are kind of pet peeves. The people who like, first of all these gym fail compilation videos or people who are calling out others and these natty or not, like I really couldn't give a shit, but I see like that's a lot of what gets traffic. One guy that I do like, and someone that I know personally, Jeff Nippard. Like, I actually helped coach Jeff get ready for his first bodybuilding show. Like, Jeff's from Newfoundland, and we used to train at the same gym. We used to train at Global Gym in St. John's back in the day. And I remember when Jeff was getting ready for his first bodybuilding competition, I helped him practice his posing and helped him, fine tune things and stuff leading up to the show. So, and back then, like, he was following my videos and stuff, and he started his own YouTube channel and his own stuff. And I remember when he was just getting started, I was watching these videos and I was saying, man, Jeff, you keep going. You got something here. Like you got potential to go far. And hell, he has gone far. He's got, I don't know, millions of subscribers on YouTube now. So like here I was helping him, and now he's like surpassed me, way the hell past me. But I like a lot of Jeff's content, right? He's kind of like a no BS, puts out quality content. I mean, obviously he's more into the real sciencey stuff, which, don't get me wrong, there's pros and cons to that, but I like science-based with a real-world application because, let's face it, you could have something that, scientifically, this exercise is proven to be 10 times better than that exercise, but if from a real-world application, the science exercise hurts you, doesn't feel right, doesn't work for your body type, then you're probably better off doing another exercise. So I'm all for the science, but you have to have that real world application for it as well. All right. You can't trump years of experience when it comes to this stuff. But I like Jeff's stuff. Who else do I really follow? I don't know. I'm brain farting. I do listen to a lot of audiobooks and stuff like that. Again, most of the YouTube videos that I watch are cycling related. So that's why I'm not throwing that out there, because I know most of the guys here are not cycling related. Like when I sit down to watch a YouTube video, more often than not, it is probably a endurance related, that type of thing, because that's what I'm interested in. Now that's where I have had a good grasp of bodybuilding for years, and now I'm trying to master that side of fitness. All right, what else we got there? Excuse me, guys, I gotta wet the whistle. All right. We have Rob joining in. Welcome. All is well. Thanks for joining in. Wisdom teeth or molars? Yep. Thank you. Figured that one out. I had to do a Google search. Bench press question from Rob. I do all 3 presses with dumbbells. Feels best for me. I was told you can hit the upper and lower at the same time with a 15-degree press. Your thoughts? Anytime you do a chest press, bench press, push up, you're hitting the entire chest. All right, like the school of thought, okay, you got to do an incline press to hit your upper chest, you got to do a flat bench to hit your middle chest, and you got to do a decline press to hit your lower chest. I mean, yes, it does kind of place more emphasis on those different areas, but anytime you do a press, your entire chest is contracting. It's like, it's not like you turn on the upper chest and you turn off the lower chest, or you turn on the middle chest and you turn off the whole damn thing contracts. All right, like whenever you do any exercise, you're really not isolating the muscle, right? You're bringing in multiple muscles into play, either as secondary or stabilizing and supporting muscles. So when you're doing a bench press, all your chest is activated. Your upper, your lower, your middle, your inner, your outer. It's all getting contracted. You can't just, oh, I only want to contract the inner fibers and not the outer fibers, or I only want to contract the upper fibers and not the low. It doesn't happen. The whole damn thing flexes. So you're going to hit all your chest with a low incline press. You're going to hit all your chest with a flat press. You're going to hit it all with a dumbbell or a barbell or a push-up. It's all going to work. So the main thing is find what you find most comfortable, what you enjoy doing, what gives you the best mind-muscle connection and the best pump. I tell you one that I love personally, and I have a lot of my coaching students do it, push-ups. Like, a lot of people think push-ups are, oh, it's a body weight exercise. It's so basic. I used to do them in gym class and I didn't like them, blah, blah, blah. Push-ups are amazing. If you get good at push-ups, first off, you're going to build a big chest. You're going to build a strong bench press. It's just going to carry over into improving your whole upper body strength. Push-ups are phenomenal. And it's one of my favorite exercises. Like back before I got heavily involved with bodybuilding and then, of course, into powerlifting and all that stuff, I did martial arts for years. Like that was my main thing back when I was like going through, junior high and high school. Well, actually it started in elementary school and then on to junior high and then into high school as well. I was doing martial arts. And then after that, I got involved with bodybuilding. But back then I did a lot of push-ups, and with martial arts, we did high rep push-ups. And I remember back when I was a teenager, I could bang out 100 push-ups in a row, like in a single set. Now, granted, I had to rest pause them, so I'd bang out 50 push-ups like nonstop, just like a piston, lock it out, take a few breaths, and then bang out another 20 or so reps, lock it out, take a few breaths, and do it in a rest pause fashion. But in a single go, I would hit 100 rep sets of push-ups regularly, and I did that, throughout my martial arts training days, and that gave my chest a head start over everything. Like I had a fairly big chest, and then it all came about from push-ups. So if you're trying to maximize chest growth, get good at push-ups. It'll carry over to help improve your chest and your strength all over in that area. But yeah, hopefully that helps answer your question. Like you're hitting all angles of the pecs, regardless of what angle you do. Now, again, with that being said, if you want to prioritize the upper chest, because everyone's going to have weaknesses, and generally speaking, if you're looking from a bodybuilding aesthetic point of view, the upper chest, there's less thickness in that upper chest. And from a bodybuilding, like you're doing your side chest and you're most muscular, you want to have that upper chest. If you do more upper chest work, meaning a more incline bench work, it will place a little more focus on that upper chest area, but the entire chest is still contracting. Right, you can't turn off the lower chest. It's still contracting, but there is a little bit more muscle emphasis on the upper pec area. So that's why you'll see a lot of bodybuilders doing incline presses, is because they want to fill out that upper chest area to the best of their ability. And sometimes it's also to work around pain. Like, ironically, I find I get, like, if I'm doing, sometimes with presses, but more so with flies. If I'm doing a flat dumbbell fly, I find that bothers my shoulder joint. But if I do an incline bench dumbbell fly, it doesn't. So sometimes you'll see people maybe doing an incline press or different angles, not necessarily because it stimulates the muscles better, but because it places less aggravation on their joints. So I find if I do an incline bench fly, I get less shoulder pain and strain than if I do a flat fly. So more often than not, if I'm doing dumbbell flies, it's on an incline bench just because it's more comfortable. Not necessarily that it's a better exercise or it's stimulating more muscle growth. It's that it's less risk of me hurting myself because it doesn't It doesn't bother my joints, tendons, and ligaments. All right, how are we doing here? We're almost at the hour mark, so I'm going to answer a couple more, and then we're going to clue it up. JE says, how many top working sets do you usually have on your full body? It depends, but maybe a couple. That's it. Like usually 2 heavy working sets is enough. If I'm feeling extra oomph and I want to push it, I might do a third, but two working sets is usually enough. What else we got? We have Russell Cobb. Okay. I don't know. I don't know who Russell Cobb is, or if that's you or what. Okay. Anyway, I will go to sleep now. Good night. It was nice seeing you. All right. Good night. Hopefully, have a good restful night's sleep. Oh, Russell Cobb has great knowledge. Okay, gotcha. Well, I'll have to look him up. I've never heard of him before, so I'll have to check him out. Thank you for the suggestion. Kevin West, have to eat that protein to build muscle. Absolutely. Protein is the raw material that your muscles are built from. It's not a nice to have, it is a must have. Rocher, hello Lee. Does strict heavy barbell single curls, 5 to 8 singles, 3 to 4 sets help with size? Have you benefited from the floor press strength transfer to the bench press? Single curls help with size. Anything is going to help. Personally, I think you would be better off doing more repetitions, more time under tension, especially for the biceps. The biceps is a small muscle. It's not a power muscle. It responds better to more volume, more time under tension. Now, with that being said, I mean, a lot of guys will do heavy barbell curls. I mean, if you find doing heavy single rep curls works for you, go for it. The only thing is the risk of injury is there. I mean, obviously, when you're doing 1 rep maxes, I already talked about that. It dramatically increases your risk of injury. But if it's working for you, I mean, I'm not going to, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. But personally, I do higher reps. Like I find in the 10 rep range for smaller exercises like that tends to work better. More time under tension and actually getting a pump. That's what I find works better for especially for isolation exercises. And a barbell curl, even though, okay, it is a heavy bicep exercise, it's still technically an isolation exercise. So I personally like to do higher repetitions, but I'm sure there's other guys who do the heavy singles. Excuse me, I had to drink again. I'm out of water. All right. Floor presses, does it transfer to the bench press? It does. The floor press, it's a very similar movement from the upper body portion of the lift. I mean, you don't get any leg drive from a floor press, but it will certainly carry over. I haven't done a lot of them, but I have incorporated floor presses into my workouts, and I do find that it's very similar. The nice thing about the floor press, I'm just going to move your question here so I can demonstrate, is when you bring your arms down, I can't even show it here because I'm too low, but your arms are going to hit the floor, right, when you're doing a floor press. So you set this up in a power rack, for example, and you literally, your triceps are going to hit the floor. So you get that momentary pause at the bottom, and then you really got to generate a lot of explosive power to get that weight started. It takes the rebound out of the bottom of the bench press, because like if you're doing a bench press, you can bring the bar down, and some guys even like do a little bounce off the chest. You kind of get that stretch reflex. The floor press takes that stretch reflex out because your triceps are going to hit the floor. It's almost similar to a box squat in that way. Like for those of you who are familiar with powerlifting, box squats are a very common powerlifting exercise, and it takes that some of that stretch reflex, that rebound out of the bottom of the squat. So you come down, you pause on a box, and then you have to exert maximum effort to start from like a momentary dead stop. It's kind of like similar to a deadlift. Like when you start a deadlift, you're lifting a dead weight off the floor. You don't get that stretch rebound as you do with a squat, where you start and you come down and then you rebound to the bottom, or a bench press where you come down and you rebound out of the bottom. It's a dead stop. So the floor press kind of brings that dead stop factor into the bench press in a way. So it's good for building that explosive power to get up out of the bottom range of motion. So, I mean, it's good from that point of view. So it will carry over to improving your strength in the bench press. What else we got there? Sean says, what does it chemical replace or adding? What does it chemical replace or adding? Just jumped in. So 2 things. Yes, I just showed up. But on a small scale of 1 or 2 day a week awake. Hang on. I got to read this again. What does it chemical / replace or adding? Just jumped in. So 2 thing, yes. I just showed up, but on a small scale of 1 or 2 day a week awake. And the missus said to me yesterday after she seen some lying under my breast, when did I starting a bra? I laugh, we laugh. Then I was up and I have to do something about that. Are you on the beer? Like, I know Sean personally. Well, I mean, we're not good friends, but I know him through Targa and all that stuff. What are you asking, bro? Okay, walk. All right, / walk. All right, what does it chemical replace or adding? I just jumped in. I just showed up, but on a small scale of 1 or 2 day a week a walk. And you got a line starting a bra or a line under your breast. When did I start a? I don't. I'm just going to pass. All right. If you want to, and this applies to anybody. If you got a question, like, take your time and write it out and send me a Facebook Messenger message, because I'm drawing a blank here. I don't know, from wearing bras and lines under your chest to going for walks and chemicals. Like, you got a lot of stuff going on there, and it just came out in a mishmash of text diarrhea on the page there. What else we got there, guys? I'm gonna clue it up anyway. We're over the hour anyway, so once the hour mark hits, I'm out of water. That's the time we have to clue up the chat. Plus, I'm getting hungry too. Right? I never had any supper yet, so I'm hungry. Lee, really appreciate your dedication helping us old guys. You're welcome, Alvin. Good stuff. Right? Us old gray-haired ferrets. I got some grays showing up. You can see them shining there in the light too. Look at them. Right? I'm not going to dye my hair. I'm proud of my salt and peppery gray hair there. I'm going to wear my gray with pride. I know some guys, they dye their hair because I don't want to look old. Like, frig it. If Mother Nature and God is telling you you're growing old, and I'm going to fight the body parts, right? I'm going to do my best with training and nutrition and all that, but I'm not going artificially coloring my hair. I ain't going at that stuff. And if it falls out, it falls out. Right? I'm not transplanting it. I'll shave the damn stuff off if I got to. What else we got there? I eat a lot of protein bars. Are they healthy? It depends on the protein bar. Some are relatively healthy, some are not. One of the common things with protein bars is a lot of the cheaper ones and the mainstream ones that you see out there, they're not technically protein bars. They're sugar bars. Like, if there's more sugar than there is protein, it should say sugar bar on the label, not protein bar. Like, I'll give you a prime example, and I'm going to call them out. The Gatorade bars. Right? The Gatorade puts the big label protein bar, and then you look at it. Okay, it's got 20 grams of protein and 30 grams of sugar. Well, if it's got 50% more sugar than it does protein, why don't we call it a sugar bar instead? Because that's what you're buying. That's what you're eating. A lot of protein bars are really just candy bars with a scoop of protein mixed into the concoction. So it's not the healthiest option, if you will, if you're looking for a lean source of protein. But some are. Like, ones that I like personally, I like the Quest bars. Those are low sugar and high in protein. Built bars are low in sugar, high in protein. Kirkland has their own brand of bars. Costco, Kirkland, they have ones that are kind of similar in nutritional profile as Quest. I buy those as well. Those are pretty good. I want you to look at a protein bar as it's not something that you want to be like trying to meet your protein intake needs through protein bars, but it's something like it's a better alternative and it's a nice, quick, convenient snack. Like that's the way I have them. Like I'll still have protein bars. I'll probably have at least a protein bar every day. But it's something I enjoy. It kind of satisfies that sweet tooth craving. So I'm not eating some not so good food. Like I'm not having a candy bar. I can satisfy my bar craving with a better option, like a Quest bar or something like that. But you want to be careful, right? Because again, most protein bars are technically sugar bars. And if it's more sugar than it is protein, you're probably better off not buying it. All right. So look at the label. It depends on the bar. What's your opinion on Jay Cutler's aspiration to become a rapper? I didn't know Jay Cutler wanted to be a rapper, so I have no opinion. But I don't know. Can he rap? I've never heard Jay spitting out rhymes. I don't know. Vanilla Jay. I don't know. Let's see. I'll wait and see on that one. I'll believe it when I see it. But for now, we'll just leave it at that. What are your thoughts on using the sauna steam room for weight loss? You'll lose weight, but it's just water weight. As soon as you rehydrate, you're going to gain it back. Like it depends on what kind of weight loss you're looking for. If you're a boxer who's trying to cut weight to drop a couple pounds so you can make your way in, or a bodybuilder who's got to make weight for a weigh in, yeah, it works in that scenario. But if you're looking to lose weight permanently, no, I mean, you can enjoy there's other benefits from a steam room or a sauna, like it's relaxation and all this stuff, but any weight loss is just fluid, right? It's not a permanent, like you can't go, oh, I'm not going to exercise, I'm going to eat like shit, and I'm going to just sit in the sauna and melt my fat away. No, it's not going to cancel out your diet and your exercise and your lifestyle choices, right? No, I mean, if you enjoy it, if you find it helps you to relax and unwind or whatever, hey, more power to you. Go for it. But you're not going to get lean. From like I've gotten in my best shape ever, the leanest single-digit body fat contest shredded without setting foot inside a sauna. So do you need it to lose weight? Heck no. Right? You need diet and exercise and consistency. So yeah. But with that being said, I have used the sauna before to make weight for a bodybuilding show, because I remember a couple times, right on the cutoff point of the weight limit, and I had to okay, I got to drop a couple pounds like the day of the weigh-in, right? And I've pulled out stops like that. I've went into the sauna, tried to sweat out those last little pound or two to try and make weight. So from that point of view, yeah, it makes sense for weight loss, but as soon as you rehydrate afterwards, you put the weight back on again. So depends on what you're using it for. All right, guys, I'm going to clue it up. I know there's probably still some more questions coming through there, but anyway, I'm going to clue it up. Thanks again for tuning in. I mean, I appreciate the support. I appreciate having these chances to connect and chat and interact with you. And I just want to let you know that Tuesday, we got a new podcast episode coming out. This one's going to be covering the fundamentals to fat loss. So some fundamental strategies that you need to have in place if you want long-term sustainable fat loss. Make sure to check that one out. And if you haven't already done so, you can go back and check out our previous 2 episodes that we have. They're up online now. The link is down below in the description of this video. So you pop it open. You can either watch it over on YouTube, you can watch it on Apple Podcasts, or on Spotify. So if you like listening to the audio versions on Apple or Spotify, you can do that. On YouTube, it's a live video chat, and it's kind of like this type of thing. You're watching us on a screen like this, but the cool thing about the video version of it, when we're explaining things, or if we have some pictures and diagrams, you get the visual to go along with it. Whereas, of course, if you're listening on Apple, it's just the audio, so you don't get the visual side of things when we're sharing some pictures and things like that in the visual side. So I like YouTube for that reason alone, but I know some people want to download the audio version so they can listen to it while they're at the gym. I actually had one of the guys at the gym the other day said, I love the podcast. He says, I'm listening to it now while I'm at the gym working out. And I said, hey, good for you, man. Cool. Appreciate it. So download the podcast and listen to it while you're working out. It's a win-win. Build your body and build your mind at the same time. All right, guys, I'm going to clue it up. Have yourself a fantastic weekend, and I look forward to chatting to you through the podcast on Tuesday and our next live video stream on Friday. Take care. Over and out. End the stream.